Greetings, everyone! Gleekon here again, bringing you another episode of Lore of Warcraft. Thank you for clicking and tuning in to the show where we cover everything hand in hand involved with the World of Warcraft universe. So that is every lick of content in the game, every quest, every line of dialogue for all of the games, back from Orcs and Humans up to now, where we are deep in a World of Warcraft classic era playthrough. We are, I'd say, most of the way, maybe at least 60% of the way through Feralas on our Horde. We've already completed it as an Alliance character, and it also includes, as yesterday's episode shows, bits of lore throughout. We've done all of the canon lore up through Classic, and we have been going back at least once weekly and talking about different bits of non-canon lore or now defunct lore, such as yesterday's episode, the Burning Crusade Town Hall. It was a preview talking about the history of the Blood Elves, and that has now been retconned and superseded by reforged versions of Warcraft 3 and the Chronicles books, which are awesome. If you don't have them, read them or check out my videos where I read them. Okay, so without further ado, stay a while and listen as we take Lee Console, our Horde, Enhancement / Resto Shaman, and throw her back into the fray. I think we have a lot done. I think it's going to take us 2 episodes, is my supposition here. We have a little bit of work to do. We have an inventory full. Last time we spent a lot of time, the last episode, we basically cleared out this whole region of quests. So today I think we're going to start with the fuel for the Zapping and the Zapped Giants. It's a little redundant, a little repetitive, but it will give us, again, this zone seems like it would be great for skinning. But because the animal killing involved the Muisek, and almost everything else involves killing humanoids, it's actually deceptively terrible for questing while also working on your skinning. We're just going here to clear out that inventory a little bit and repair. We have feathery wings because we killed a ton of... We don't need these goods here. We have we killed a ton of birds. Hippogriffs. Hippogriffs, that's right. Yeah. And we got some leather. We'll work on playing around with the leather in a little bit. We got this very cool looking dagger. It's like a mini, not even really a wakizashi. It's like a katana knife. Very cool. Not that great in terms of like overall DPS, other than the fact that it's an offhander. But at level 42, at 16 attack power, is not the best. There's 100% better things that you could have. There are other things we have to do in terms of travel. We probably maybe are going to get to those today. We're going to check it out and see. I'm trying to get us to a level up is another reason why we haven't traveled yet. All right, so what's on the docket here? Well, we have these. This is going to take us a little bit of time. We've been pursuing this Muisek quest line, which really goes throughout. So we killed some ogres here, and that brought us to a chain to kill more ogres here and do an orb, and we do have to go turn that orb in now. That's one of our quests. We also, in killing in chasing our Muisek, we had to go to the hinterlands to kill the hippogriffs, and when we came back, the next thing they had us do was come over here also to get the those were the hippogriffs. I'm sorry, to kill the wildkin was in the hinterlands. And that also tasked us with getting a bunch of reagents, which we turned in. We spent about half the episode last time farming the metallic shards, which only drop off the hippogriffs and off of a couple other little things. The hippogriffs were, I felt, the easiest, most concentrated, infinitely spawning set. And they were skinnable, so we did get a good amount of leather just from farming that. That's why I have those few stacks of 20 that before we leave Camp Mojache, we will play around with and see. We do have to visit Swamp of Sorrows at some point. We have to visit Booty Bay at some point. Why do we have to visit those places? Okay. So the next thing in the Muisek sent us here to kill Sprite Darters. We also had a quest to do that, which opened up the killing of the Grim Totem Tauren tribe right here. So we have to go turn that in. They want us to go report on the Grim Totem's doings in Orgrimmar. We've rescued the chicken. We found that. We got that in a drop off of an animal, I think. Maybe it was a hippogriff. I can't remember. It was something we were going after the Muisek for, which was interesting because that's not normally the case. The drop rate off animals is much lower, but we got it this time that way because we killed so many more of those. And then we escorted that down to the beach. And so we have to go back to Booty Bay to turn that in and get our own chicken because that's the final one. The Gordunni Orb also has us going back to Orgrimmar. Okay. What else do we have? We have improved quality. Now that's a quest that's going to be involved with this set. That's maybe what we're going to do today. I'm not 100% sure. Kind of on the fence. If we level up, we are 17,000 XP away from leveling up. So if the completion of these 2 repeatable quests, or these 4 quests, because we have to do the originals and the repeatable version and the mobs killing them, if that gets us to 17k, then we're going to start the travel portion. Improved quality will also become baked in with this perfect Yeti hide. It is a repeatable drop quest. We're just going to do it the one time while we're getting our goods there. That will be fine. You can skin those bad boys. We have the final Muisek quest, which will give us a weapon. So that's a 2 quest thing, really. That's getting the Mountain Giant Muisek. And while we are up there killing Mountain Giants, we need to kill the Harpies until we get a horn. Also kill them for a quest. And then summon their leader and kill their leader. I think their leader's an elite, but it's going to be not that big a deal. And finally, after all of that, I don't think any of that's going to have us do anything in the back, but we do have to make a trip to Felwood. We're going to save that for the end of today's episode. We're going to make a trip to Felwood and kill and turn in Felwood stuff. All right, here we go. We're going to begin our questing for today. Roughly 10:30 server time. Let's see.
Yeah, well, maybe this wasn't the best place for a shop after all.
I think after you do the first pair, he also opens up a shop here. We're going to pick up Zapped Giants.
I'm going to have to do something about the Giants if I stay out here. They're certainly not good for business now, are they? I've been working on a variant of a gnomish shrinking ray, but I'm using superior goblin technological advances in its construction. In an effort to avoid inconveniences for myself, such as death, I'd like for you to try it out on any of the Giants in Feralas. You should find miniaturization residue on them after you shrink them. Bring me back some.
We also could consider getting some fishing done right here as well. This is Zapped Giants. This is part of what I do on the show. I keep a spreadsheet. I'm having a lot of... I was having this yesterday, but my episode was shorter. But the past few days, I'm having extreme sinus issues. It's causing eye irritation, and sneezing, headaches. So I don't know if I have a full-on light sinus infection or if switching back to being back around my house is exposing me to all the allergens with my dogs and the weather compared to traveling around the north in the summer. One moment. We'll see. Alright, so he basically wants us to zap these giants and shrink them. He says it's a better goblin. I tend to agree that it's better because the gnomish shrinking ray has a chance of massive failure, whereas this one seems to work every single time, and on giants no less. Fuel for the zapping.
If I bet against my own better judgment and stay to run an engineering shop along the Forgotten Coast, I will need to deal with these pesky elementals. Curse the powers of elementalism unchecked, I say. Fortunately for me, and now for you, my hopeful agent provocateur, the elementals represent an ideal source of raw power for my ultra-shrinker refinement. Give them the what for, I say. When doing this, though, be sure to save me the water elemental cores.
Alright, so he also wants us to kill these water elementals that are ubiquitous. They're everywhere, and because that's how he fuels these guns, this guy's actually pretty good as far as goblins and goblin incompetence goes. Look, there's a little place you can cook here. This is really, once he opens a shop, it's kind of a one-stop shop. If we do level up or get it very, very close to leveling up, we'll probably add some fishing in. So this is our life right now. This is what we're about to do. I'm actually going to go north this time first. Usually I go south, but I've decided to go north. You could just basically hug the shore all up and down and the coast, and you'll be good to go. We still have this log of quests has stayed relatively full throughout. These guys are a little annoying if you are a frost mage because they are resistant. Them and the giants are either completely immune, or resistant to frost damage. So plan accordingly. Have to use a lot of fire magic if you're normally a frost mage. I had to anyway. All right, so there you go. Got our first one. When you do the repeated versions of this quest, you have to it's pretty much the same things, but I think it's actually a pinch easier. I think you only need 6 instead of 10. And other than that, though, I don't think like the drop rate's any better or worse. That was lucky. That's another bad thing about this drop rate is you don't always get. It's not. It's more like a 1 in 3 drop rate. So my totems are not being as effective because I think these guys are not hitting with physical damage because they're elementals. So that's me. Well, let's see here. The stone skin totem blocks physical damage, right? Yeah, melee. It says melee damage, but I wonder if that's code for physical. Because it didn't seem to be giving me the same kind of reduction I'm used to getting when I use it. But we shall see. The good thing is that they are not immune to my my lightning. That helps out with DPS. You'll notice that I'm kind of lazy if you haven't been watching this. Not lazy, I don't know. I kind of try to math things out a lot. That's one of my approaches to the game. You'll see me trying my best to break down, and I come up with solutions that maybe are different than someone that gets theirs from simming. And I would say simming is more accurate, but since I just don't do it, and a lot of it's anecdotal, like the unquestionable best way to run a two-handed shaman if you're really like min-maxing your potential is to do, I can't remember what they call it, not a stance, like a slow weave, but to basically constantly employ stone skin totems and maybe frost shock to slow your enemy, and then use the heavy two-handed swing and then back in and out of the range of the mob that's continually slowed. And in doing so, minimize the amount of times you take hits to where when you are not in actual swing, you're not taking hits. I would imagine that only really affects things when the mobs are attacking with a greater DPS rate than you are, which is usually the case when you are a melee or two-hander. And this lightning shield, I was just reading that it says only one ball will fire every few seconds. So that is vague. That's makes the math hard. I mean, we could do... I mean, if we're using the colloquial definition of few seconds, I would call that 3. And then why not say 3 seconds? So maybe it's better than that and it's like 2.5 or something. Maybe it's dependent upon another stat, so they can't. Without popping the hood, you can't really know. Alright, so here's our first one of these guys. We're going to zap them. You don't actually need fuel to get them. I guess the gun is already fueled up. But these guys are fine. Now, they are doing melee damage. The problem is you're not going to be able to really get a cluster of them. But like I said, I don't really... Oh, great. They dropped clams. Why are you not available, clam opener? Clam cracker? I need to think about it. I need to make a mod that just automatically does it. I wonder if... I mean, you could make some kind of complicated mod. There has to be, like a conditional mod. There has to be a way to where you basically had all of your like set up to being like, if all of these are true, meaning the potential bag spaces, you check them, and if not, you make it end for that spot, and then you have it constantly running and checking. I'm trying to think how to make this work, because I don't think you can just have it constantly running and checking. I think that's step one of the part one of the problem here is most of the time what you're working on is a macro. You can make some kind of macro for sure, where you click a button and it like opens up, cracks your clam, and then closes back up your inventory. I could see that happening. But to me, that's barely... If I have to run that every freaking time, I hate it. Clams are the bane of my existence. I do not know why they don't... I mean, I get it from like an RP perspective. It's one more little realistic type of thing. Well, speaking of realistic type of things, let me go on an aside here. So I struggle to find games to play with my son that we both enjoy. So my son is a teenage boy about to start high school. We used to play games more together, but that's because he would play Dad's games, like we could play World of Warcraft together. We had a lot of good times with that over the years. But he also grew up in that generation of playing like Minecraft, and he's that Minecraft generation. So gaming to him and he's also at the age where social is a big part of it. So I'm never going to be able to compete with like a certain element of that, because when we play together, I'm not going to go sit in a room and play with a like gamer group of his friends. I don't think they'd even want me to anyway. That'd be weird. Yeah, I draw that second one, I believe. I am getting these enchanted waters for this character. That's actually good. Man, it just hits me hard. They've got to be hitting with maybe frost damage or nature damage. I don't know what to hit with. It's beefy. But anyway, so I'm thinking about. So now that he doesn't play that, we've struggled to find games that we will really play together. We'll find a couple. They've obviously got to be games where they can be co-op. Also, he's a teenager and he's competitive, and I'm a lifetime gamer, so I'm pretty decent at games. And he's usually I can whoop him in most games. He's also just like not the best. I watch him when he plays with his friends. He's usually not the one like just OP running the group, which is not the case when I was growing up. I was, I don't know. I guess I wasn't either. I've never been that guy, but I've always been like better than average, pretty darn good. but it comes from different things. Like, obviously, as you see when I play this game, when I play WoW, not hand-eye coordination, not twitch skills or anything like that. But I'm pretty good at, like, being persistent and mapping things out and, you know, understanding mechanics to a certain extent. Like, it's kind of pleases me a lot of the times when I intuitively create a build and then I'll go do a deeper dive and research later on a build. Like, let's say Glee Contessa, when I was working as a Ret Pally in Classic, not that that is a complicated build, but I kind of, like, looked at some of my own... looked at some of what was happening in that rotations with Crusader and just different things and different talent builds, and my build was essentially very, very similar to, like, the meta build that you might see on Icy Veins or whatever, Wowhead. But anyway, so what I try to find is what can scratch this itch for both of us. What can scratch the itch, because to me, I love the ability to have, first of all, set objectives. I like an overall quest. There can be plenty of, like, fluff going on around it, like base building and exploration and survival, which is things that exist in Minecraft. But I like the ability to have a mission that we can pursue at least every now and then too. Second, I like power. I like the ability to level up and gain and learn and increase in power. That's not big in those games. Those games, power is really built, I guess, more like in real life, like in the things that you acquire and the skills that you can get. So that's probably the bigger turnoff for me. It's just, you can't even make your own adventure and then grow more powerful, other than the sense that you can, I guess, get better gear. So I'm looking for a game that can maybe scratch that itch that we can both play together from time to time. We tried a game called Enshrouded. It was okay. I just didn't love it. Like, I don't know why. Something about it just made me not love it. We worked together. We had fun with it a couple times. It was okay. It's a very pretty game. I think I maybe approached the game wrong. I think if I went in from the mindset, I thought maybe there would be missions, and there are some in that game, but I thought maybe it would just be, I don't know. I jumped the gun on that. I really thought one of those frost bolts was going to trigger a lightning shield. So anyway, a game that I've been researching and I told him to look at and see lately is Valheim. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It appears as though it is very, very, very similar to the Enshrouded game. Oh, he's like trapped. Dang it. No, that's gonna ruin my... That's gonna put my... Oh, yeah, he's... Maybe if he moves out of that spot, but it looks like he's trapped. Like he's glitched out. The person in my guild's name is Moomanizer. Ha ha ha. I love it. I love it. I love a clever name. Oh, by the way, we've already gotten 8k XP. We are absolutely going to be leveling up while we're doing this, so that's great. So there'll be some fishing on this episode too, and I think that's going to open up our questing for us. Good. I mean, it's going to open up our leveling and some of our traveling that we need to do. Anyway, it seems like a cool game. I don't know if any of you guys have played it. Feel free to mention it in the comments to me. If you have any opinions or takes. It does the Viking aesthetic seems, even though the graphics don't seem as good, it seems cool. I like that aesthetic. So that might be a little bit of a... I feel like that's going to be kind of a bit of a wash in the trade-off. The aesthetic is going to be a little bit cooler. Whereas the graphics are going to be a little bit worse. So I feel like that's about a wash in my prediction. We're getting near the edge of our northbound run. We got to turn around. And we are at 6 of 15 giants killed, and we have gotten 7 of the 10 cores. Once we get the 10 cores, then we get to cut that out of our hunt. We'll be able to more quickly get the giants. Second, it seems like the survival elements are much more strict in Valheim, which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a particular player of the hardcore survival genre, so I think that will scratch more of my son's itch that Minecraft gives you, where you just you're used to having to balance hunger and sleeping and all that crap, but I think it seems even more strict than that. But I think it might be cool. I think if my son and I worked together, I think a lot like what happened last time when I played Enshrouded, we played it, I don't know, maybe 10 hours. And before I really, I don't know if it was mutual takedown or I don't know what happened. Neither one of us, I think I have to be the person to initiate the gaming request a lot because I'm the dad. Which I wasn't really doing because I wasn't really vibing the game. And then, you know, that's it. So it kind of has to be like a dad thing. Anyway, I do think there is some, it looks like there's some kind of questing, maybe. I don't know. So, in general, the responses I've got are that it's a cool game. I am older, so I guess I'm curious about people that are more of my age subset that didn't grow up in the Minecraft era, that are not Minecraft players. Minecraft doesn't scratch any itches for me. I do not have fun when I play it. I think I have played other games where there's some building and stuff that is fun. My favorite one that actually comes closest to scratching this itch, but unfortunately is not multiplayer, is Dragon Quest Builders. It's a little game I got my son once, and then I played it for a while. That game actually does everything I just described, like, perfectly. I like the base building a lot. I like what you can do. The survival elements are downplayed a little bit. The leveling up, even though they're not traditional, because those survival games never are. And I understand Valheim is the same. The leveling up is really just the progression of what you get. That's just... Okay, we have our 9th core. Here we go, we got a couple of these. I think he just farted a bubble, that T-Strider. If you replay that, I think he bent over and farted a green sea bubble out of his butt. I don't know that I've ever noticed that in my years of playing, or if so, it's been so long that I've forgotten. That one of their animation is that they fart a sea bubble out of their butt. Now I'm going to be watching that whenever I watch these giants. Maybe I have noticed it and it's just been so long. I don't know though. That seems like something I'd remember. Okay, inventory's getting a little full, so I do hope his shop opens up. Look, dang it, I missed it. And then he turned around and he popped it and a little green gas came out. 100% he farted a sea bubble. That's kind of funny. To just riff also off of that, I know I'm getting off of World of Warcraft talk, but another thing, so most of you guys, I'm sure, have heard of the very popular game Slay the Spire. I love that game, very fun. I do not typically like roguelikes at all, but that game having slight elements of progression, which is what a roguelike does, mixed with the card format, and the strategy and the deck building. It's just really fun. I don't always play it. I'll go on stretches where I don't play for months, but I do really like it. I'm not crazy good. Like, I know when I read people online, they take it up to like Ascension 20 and they have these god runs and blah blah blah. I don't do anything like that. I'm around Ascension 5 with all the characters that I've gotten to, so that's a frame of reference. So I'm better than like my son and his teenage friends who have beaten the game little to no time and have no interest in like raising their Ascension level because the game's hard enough as it is. But I am not so good to where I'm blasting through the game over and over again, and I also just don't do that. I don't play games like that. Like, if I fail a run, I don't think I've ever done more than like 2 or 3 run attempts in a day. I also play the game like pretty across the board. Like, once I beat the game and raise the Ascension level of one of the classes, I'll switch over to another one to match it. So, for instance, right now it's on my mind lately, so I've been playing it. Is the Defect, the kind of robot character, trying to get him through Ascension 4 so that he's up to Ascension 5. And I really do not like the Watcher character, so a lot of the times if I get everybody above except the Watcher, and I have to play the Watcher, that will slow me down and I'll drop the game for months. Because I do not enjoy that character. I don't know why. It doesn't give me this, it doesn't hit the same way as the other characters do for me. We're having a hard time getting this last Water Elemental. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because it ties into the teenage son kind of, you have to be the one to initiate the actions. And when I was out traveling, which I still have not talked about my adventures, but I don't know how much. Maybe one of these days I'll talk about it some. But it's really heavily navel gazing and not related to the show, so I haven't really gotten in there. But I found this really cool shop when I was passing through. I spent a couple days in New York City to visit one of my buddies that lives there. There was a really cool gaming shop. I wish I had one in my town. It was, there are gaming shops like that, but it was just a very big, thorough shop. So everything that you can get in it, you could probably find on Amazon. But you just don't always. There's a beauty in going into an actual store and walking around and finding something that you didn't know that existed or you didn't know you wanted. That's one of the beauties of shopping in person. But I did not realize that there was a Slay the Spire board game. So I was like, oh, I gotta get that. It was kind of bad because then I had to lug this gigantic game around me for the next couple weeks. Everywhere I went, and I had to bring it back with me on the plane. I should have bought it and like shipped it or something. But the good thing was I showed up and it was like a moment of Dad is super cool because my son also loves Slay the Spire. That is an actual perfect example of a game that does scratch both the itches that my son and I have. For him, it's got that roguelike, quick and dirty. You can pick it up, you can drop it. For me, it's got the deep level of strategy and this slight sense of progression. Because all of the relics come and the new cards come at such a stream that it's almost like you're leveling up constantly through the game. But the beauty is it takes Slay the Spire and it makes it into a multiplayer game. So that's really cool, and we even got my wife to play. We had a really good session. We got through Act 1. But that took us like a few hours because we were learning the game, so it was going really slow. We're going to try to pick it up and do Act 2 this weekend. That was a perfect thing. Like, we had to suggest to my son, hey, let's have like a family game night, because when my other kids were younger and I had 4 kids living in the house, we used to very frequently, pretty much once a week, we would have a family board game night, and we had this huge collection of games. We would just play games a lot, There we go. Finally got that last core. That last one was just did not want to come to us. All right, so we just need 4 giants and we're done. We're gonna get our mount here and go to the south. I think the south is a little bit more. Actually, you know what? We'll patrol the north one more time, and we'll patrol the sea itself. We'll get a closer eye on the sea, because when we do our second run, we're gonna go to the south. But yeah, we're down to only needing 3,000 XP. We might level up. We're gonna level up just from turning these in. So we will pause in between the two to get our fishing done. And this is why you can see this episode is... I knew this, that even though our quest list seems to be dwindling a lot, and we're getting very close to finishing the zone, I knew we were not going to finish in one episode, because these quests are so grindy and long. Now, I do think, like I said before, I think the second one is a little bit... The second round is a little easier. I think you only need 10 instead of 15, and you only need 6. That's a little better, but still, having to do them a second time. I also believe... Yeah, you can get the miniaturization residue from the giants up there, but I don't know that that's true on the replay. You get the repeatable version of the quest. I don't know that that's true. There's no real lore behind this. We're just setting up a goblin. We're giving him a reason to have a shop on the sea by the elves. I guess really what it is my guess is they were like, we have a pretty major questing zone here with no real reason why there should be any engineering training going on, but it's pretty late game to have to completely leave one of the professions out to dry like that. So let's just make the... And also the Horde has nothing on this side of the map, even though the Alliance has nothing on this side, but they technically have that little shop right there. It's on the borderland of Thousand Needles. I don't know, that's my thinking of the logic of why some of this might exist. I don't think it. Alright, so we are down to just needing 2 giants. And here's one of them right here. But my son had a great time. The whole family, all of us, me, mom, and him, had a good time with family game night playing Slay the Spire. Very fun game. Even my wife, who has no idea, has maybe seen us over the years playing the game, because I've pretty much had it since it came out. And I bought it on Steam or something right when it came out, and I let my son play it when he was young. He would come younger, because that game's been out for a while. He would use my computer to play it on Steam, and then and I wasn't worried, because I was not worried he was ever gonna advance my Ascension level. When he was, however, 8 years old or whatever it was. However, I don't remember when that game came out. That's assuming that it came out 7 years ago, But all right, we got the last one. And then he got it on his computer. I got it on my phone. It's one of the oldest games I have on my phone. So I paid the whatever it was, $10-15 to get it on my phone too. And that's actually mostly where I play it now. I'll play it on my phone. It's like my number 2 phone game. My number 1 is a stupid little match 3 game that I've been playing for years, for not as long, but maybe 3 years or so. That I have, it's the only match 3 game where I've beaten the game. I'm as far as the game, every week or or 2, they'll put out a new batch of 100 or so levels, and I will beat those in that 2 weeks, and then get to the part where it lets you just replay levels, some crap like that. I don't know. They call it a tournament or something. I don't fucking know. But then they also always do little events every week to keep you engaged, to keep you wanting to play, and So anyway, I've been playing that. It's just a mindless game I can play while I watch shows. So when my wife and I are watching Netflix, that's the mindless game I'll play. Or like if I'm on a flight and I don't feel like reading or whatever.
Time is money, friend.
All right, let's turn these two bad boys in.
Have a good one.
Miniaturization residue, I assure you, is a valuable commodity when it comes to engineering. Well, it is valuable in that it helps me make sure the zapper won't do something as disappointing as explode on the user. Oh, I mean for the zappers other than the one I gave you. Absolutely.
Splendiferous. Not only am I glad to see that you've returned with the residue, but also with all your major appendages intact. That is, well, there was never any danger in using the Ultra Shrinker, now was there? I do appreciate your effort on my behalf, adventurer. Truly, you are a friend to goblins everywhere. Accept this as a token of my appreciation.
All right, so we have completed Zapped Giants, baby. Gotta have a few more of these. Looks like in total, it's going to be about the Horde and Alliance experience. It's going to be, those should have been picked up, not turned in. It's going to be close. And we get some gold, some silver, and Zorban's Mega Slicer. It's actually a solid
Glad I could help.
sword, and we hit that level up. Okay, and then fuel for the zapping.
Get real.
While I can bore you with the technical details of the utility behind the elemental cores, I will instead tempt you to completion of this important task by offering valuable coin and prizes for doing so. Yon verily, are you finished?
Scrumdiddly-rific. These cores will keep me working for some time. Add to that the benefit of there now being fewer elementals along the coast, and I might no longer cry myself to sleep at the prospect of having set up shop in perhaps the worst place imaginable. Thank you, adventurer, for your efforts on my behalf. While it certainly straps me financially to do this, allow me to show you some gratitude you may understand and appreciate. Loot.
It's like a druid healer hat, Zorban's water resistance hat.
Hurry
Not
back.
my favorite. Alright, so now he has things for sale. So that was... Actually, we did it the other way around. I did Zapped Giants, and then... Yeah, then that was fuel for the zapping. Alright, so it did open up the repeatables, which we are going to do now in just a second. We have him for sale now. He just sells... It doesn't look like... Oh, he does have a Snake Burst Firework engineering recipe. We're going to just sell some of the basics. I feel like I am going to save the water and these different objects. You do keep this Ultra Shrinker. Destroy that, though.
Be good.
Okay, so now we're going to go... I don't think he sells, like, any lures. No, but... So now we are going to hop on our fishing pole and get 5 points of fishing done now that we are level 56. Let's also learn our skill. We have all the enhancement that we need. We've been learning Healing Focus. Gives me a chance to avoid interruption. So it'll be up to a 70% chance. But the better part about that, which is good for like my solo endeavors, now I should have Purification opened up. So we only have 4 points left, so I'll be able to give myself 4 points of Purification to give myself an 8% boost to my healing effectiveness. What we'll do next. And like I said, we're gonna get us up some points. And then I have to decide what we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna do this repeated because I don't want to come back here and do this again. And then I kind of want to save this for last, but I'm on the fence. Look at our time here. Because we could get the Yeti hide and the perfect Yeti hide done. I'm not entirely opposed to that. And then starting whatever travelings that we need to do. We do need to go to Badlands when we go to Booty Bay. Because we need to pick up the next leatherworking gear for our dragon leatherworking. So I'd like to do some leatherworking first. We also need to go to Fellwood. So there's that. Alright, so let me plan this out here. Let's look at our greater... What do we need to do? Okay, we need to visit Badlands, which is right around there. And we need to visit Booty Bay. Those are the only two things on this continent. We have to get to Fellwood. We have to go to Orgrimmar for training, and that's got to be early. Okay, we've got one fishing done already. That wasn't too bad. We needed 8, I guess. And Fellwood. Okay, so a hearth to Orgrimmar and then a flight to Fellwood is not going to be too terrible. I think we have Fellwood opened. No, we do not have Fellwood opened as a flight path. So we're going to actually have to go to... I don't think we've been to any of these other places. Because on my other character, I was able to go use my Moonglade port, run through that tunnel, and then get to Fellwood that way. I think our best bet is going to be going to Splinter Tree Post, running up, stopping and getting that flight path along the way, and then finishing up with these things at the end. Yesterday, my progress, I have been running Fellwood. That's our actual next zone. I've been running that off camera. But I did hit, to technically get a completionist, there is a quest up here, this Deadwood Ritual Totem. It is a drop quest, but you have to be neutral with the Timber Maw to turn it in. It's considered a... a quest. And also, I would consider Timber Maw Hold. I haven't seen any quests in there, really. But I've got to work that one out some more. But what that means is you have to be neutral. There's no way around it. You can get yourself very easily just from doing the required quests up to unfriendly, but you're still going to have about a 3,000 point grind from unfriendly to neutral that you have to get from killing the furbolgs. You get 5 rep a piece, and then there's like maybe about a 25% drop chance that you'll get like a headdress, and 5 of those will get you 50. So that means each one of those is basically worth 10 rep, and you got it, so 2.5. So on average, you're getting about 7.5 rep more if you are human, of course. So there will come a point in time where we're going to have to just grind that out. There's nothing we can do about it. We got to do some grinding. We got to get the... And until you complete this one quest at the bottom, they don't drop the headdress feathers, I don't believe. But there's not a lot else going on in this zone. There's a couple quests to kill some satyrs here and look around in the middle of the map. And then there is basically the Timber Maw experience, and then there's some cleansing stuff. And I haven't really messed with the cleansing, but it takes a long time. So last night I just hunkered down and did hours, and I got one of my 2 characters to neutral. Today I'll do the other character. I'll work on it throughout the day and in the evening. But that's, whatever. Okay, we got our second point finally. Alright, but in terms of what we need to do, I'm trying to... Just real quick. Okay, we're at 50, so we're about halfway, at the halfway mark of this episode. Yeah, so really, if we do this rep, this other thing right here, it's going to be pretty much the end. If we manage to get it quicker done, that means I'm going to not do this part of the quest. Then I can hearth to Orgrimmar and turn in that big batch of quests that we have. There might be some more that come with it. And then I might just set up a flight to Fellwood. or set up a flight to Ashenvale. And then that would mean the next episode we would run up to Ashenvale, and then Hearth back to Orgrimmar. And we need to go to Booty Bay. I guess Hearth back to Orgrimmar, fly down to Ratchet, sail over to Booty Bay, then fly up to Kargath. This is a lot for one episode. Yeah, I wanted to do a little more. I guess let's just see. Maybe we'll get better luck on the repeatable. Because we're not going to have time. This won't take us that long. Like, getting the Muisek, getting these guys, like, this will maybe take us 20 minutes, I think, to do this big chunk. Maybe with travel, 30 minutes. It's really... It's the fact that we got to go over to... we have to go to the Badlands because we need to get more of our leatherworking taken care of. We also have to work on it here. But I also want all my leathery skinning to be done, so I don't want to do that yet. So I do think going to Orgrimmar, ending the episode, going to Felwood, that has to be how we end it, because that'll cut a little bit of time off for us. It's just, what do we do first? And then we'll deal with getting our chicken and going up to Badlands. That'll be the finale. We'll deal with that after. Alright, so we're going to have to do repeatable this. I'm going to try to get this done too, and then we're going to look at time. We're going to see how good. We need to save ourselves a good 5 to 10 minutes to be in Orgrimmar, to train and turn in those quests. Ideally about 10 minutes. So, like I said, I think so we have about half an hour from right now. I have some things I have to do today. I have a lot of taxi errands. This is the downside of being work from home dad today. My son has outings he needs to be taxied to because he's at that perfect age where you are a teenager that wants to go hang out with your friends, but you and none of your friends are old enough to drive. So it's that perfect parent pain in the butt hangout age. But c'est la vie. So it is. And then my other daughter my wife is working. This is her work stretch. And my daughter that lives with me, her car has been, she really got screwed when one of the things, very early to us going on the trip, we got a call like a day or two in that her battery died. Okay. Like, her car wouldn't start, really. Okay, simple problem. Get someone to jump it, and just go have the battery replaced. No problem. Happened to me, like, a month ago. You know, her car's at that age. It's going to happen from time to time if you needed... Well, the person she called to jump it was incompetent, I believe. They could not jump the car for whatever reason. They couldn't jump it. So, I suspect... incompetence. Because it was another couple youngies. I would think you would know how to do it, but judging from the people involved, I think they probably just screwed it up, didn't do enough. I don't know. Didn't give the battery time to charge before they tried it. I'm not sure, but they couldn't jump it. So instead they towed it to the closest dealership. Well, my daughter drives a Jeep. The closest Jeep dealership to my house is an okay place. I've actually bought like 3 or 4 cars from them over the years because it's a Jeep Dodge like combo place. I had many good experiences with them in terms of buying cars. I've had great cars from them. I love the cars I get. It was very cheap for me to get things worked on. The problem is that they are they've got a lot of old school people working there, and the people that they've hired, or I don't know if they run in the same vein because it's been 20 years that I've known them. They are extraordinarily sexist and manipulative to girls. Like they are so condescending. And I've seen it and heard it on the phone. They are so condescending and just straight out lying, gaslighting, nasty, dismissive when females call. It's really sick. Like we've bought cars from there, and like I've just gone there as moral support when my wife is gonna buy a car, and they've treated her like literally like we're in like a conservative Muslim country where they won't even like address my wife, and they'll ask me for permission on everything. I'm like, I don't know, man, it's her car. Like her name's the thing that's gonna be on the title. You like ask. You should be asking these questions to her. I'm just here to co-sign and, you know, help my wife pick a good car. In fact, my wife is the better, like, financial negotiator than me. I might be able to look at a car and have reservations. I might know the mechanics of the cars better than her, but she's 100% more willing to roll up her sleeves and get down and dirty and negotiate and wipe the smile off of her face and get serious when it comes to it. So it's actually kind of ironic. But even just little problems, like I've just heard it, and so we would have, first of all, I would have told my daughter not to do it. If I was here, I would have fixed it for her myself, and if the car wouldn't jump, I would have took the battery out of the car and then just, you know, brought it to the place and had the battery tested, and if it was dead, I would have just bought the new battery, and the whole thing would have cost $200 something bucks, whatever a battery costs, whatever her battery would have cost, and that's it. But she brought it to this dealership, so one, they charged her the max price for a battery, something insane, like $350 or something. 2, they tried to upsell her and everything. 3, they forced her to run some diagnostic, which they also charged her $250 for. And then the next day, she started having a major coolant or oil leak where her car was blowing exhaust, and it's not done that before. So she started freaking out. 1, it cost her $600 to change her battery, which is insane. 2, her car. So she's freaking out. She called the company. They basically just said, you're an idiot. There's nothing that we possibly could have done in the diagnostic process or in the battery changing process that would have led to this issue. So, you know, if you want, you can bring it in and we'll look into it, and we'll charge you, and we'll do everything like it was. So to me, I'm like, no, like this doesn't match the sniff test here. You just ran a diagnostic, whatever that means. You refused to tell my daughter what exactly that means or what that checked.
The best deals anywhere.
You just did that in her car, and now, actually I want that summer bass and this whitefish. You claim miraculously, immediately upon driving the car, this is a coincidence that this is happening. Alright, let's do these 2 repeatable. Again with the Zapped Giants.
I know you've gathered residue for me already, but should you find yourself for one of an encore performance to a fun time activity, I can always use more residue. While I can't offer nearly as much in the way of compensation again, I'll be more than happy to spread the good word of your service to all my goblin friends with ears. Believe me, madam, when I say that these goblins have quite large ears.
And the ones that don't have ears, they get nothing. So this is a repeatable. We are only doing it for the sake of completionism. We do not need the rep. It's nothing spectacular.
Keep it real. More work, you say? Did my heroic mission of collecting bits of goo found inside elemental beings not slake your thirst for adventure? Perhaps more of the same will vainly try to fill the bottomless well of questing you possess. Okay, melodrama aside. I do need more water elemental cores. I'm trying desperately to set up shop here, so the rewards won't be as great. but I promise you I'll tell everyone in earshot how you've helped me. Trust me on this. I know people in the cartel.
So that's funny. That's one of the more like borderline breaking the fourth wall quest dialogues that you'll get in this game. They do that a lot more, obviously, as the expansions go on. But I do like the little tongue-in-cheek nature of that quest guy. And his dialogue is also just indicating, look, you're only doing this if for whatever reason you want cartel rep. Great. Somebody just went to the south. Let's see how far they went. We did get our fishing up to 280. That's good. There they are right there. Okay, we're going to go back to the north, I guess. The north is what we're doing on this character because that person is going to the south and I don't want to both compete and screw their time up. Anyway, so I called the place and I was like, look, this is not a coincidence. You claimed that you ran a diagnostic, so here's the things that, if it was me, really running a diagnostic to determine why a battery might not work, other than just testing the battery, which is free, but that's not what you said you did. You said you ran a diagnostic. So I called them and they're like, no. And I was like, well, here's where you could, you know, potentially create a leak in the system by doing this. And they're like, no. We absolutely did not do any of that. When we run a diagnostic, we do kind of an order of operations. And the very first thing we would do is test the battery. And if the battery's dead, we stop there. So, okay, so we got our first core. So they're kind of stuck right now because they were stuck. Because then I'm like, oh, so what you're telling me then is you charged my daughter $250 to set the battery tester on top of the battery. And then that's what they had to bite the bullet and say was yes. So that is because otherwise they'd have to admit that they may have done something more, which I do in fact believe they did, because I have a buddy that is very mechanically sound, and if it's not a crazy issue, he runs a little private, you know, his own independent business where he will kind of do like mobile auto repair. So we had him then come. Well, this is what happened was actually then my daughter, we said, look, don't stress, just get this taken care of. Here's the number of my friend. And in the meantime, you can use your mom's car because we didn't have, you know, it's here, we're out of town. And what this did was it enabled my daughter to, what she did was she gave the car to family members, her brother, my other son, my older son, who has worked, he's not a mechanic. He's worked with mechanic adjacent stuff, like he's worked at the tire shop, so he's worked around cars, but he is in no way, shape, or form a mechanic. He tries to mess with his own mechanic type stuff, tries to fit, you know, he'll change his own oil. He's sound with the car, but when he got to trying to experiment with my daughter's car, he's not. Every make and model of car presents its own challenges, so as soon as he realized he was out of his depth with the Jeep, that he was going to have to take parts of the motor apart, that he was worried that he was going to be able to put back together without causing more damage. But that whole process for my son, who is not the best on follow-through or responsibility, by the time he got around to it, and my daughter is not urgently making it, she's burned through a week of the 2 weeks that we were away. Maybe more. So then we finally get her to call my friend, and by the time we get back, she is finally pursuing my friend, coming to check it out. And you know, he's just a dude, and he's checking it out kind of as a favor, so for him it's not the top of his list. So it took him a few days to get around, check it a few times, check a few things out, yada yada yada. You know, fit it in after his actual main business of the day is done. His pre-existing appointments and everything that he had. So, no fault on him. So he finds in this process, well, it does seem that there's a particular thing that was disconnected that was not reconnected again. So this it was at a part that it's highly unlikely my son did it, because my son quit before he could have got to it. But sure, it's a chance, so we can't even come after them. Not that there's anything you could do to the mechanics. There's good luck proving they did anything. There is no proof. So there's no, this is just not a thing. Like, mechanics have, always will be, freaking, they have the latitude to be complete pieces of crap. So they really, almost more than any other profession, because it's like, everything's happening but behind closed doors, and it's not a matter of life or death. So, you know, it's so hard to prove what happened before. You brought it into them because you need them to fix something beyond you, and they know it. It's not like a doctor's where there's a certain protocol in place, and but it's similar to that, where you're really trusted, and if the people around you aren't going to whistleblow or whatever,
I need to get closer.
Then, like, with a hospital, there's life and death, there's cameras because of the severity of it. You know, there's a system of checks and balances, and it's still not perfect, and people still get away with, if not murder, manslaughter all the freaking time, or like manslaughter due to incompetence. So at that point in time, my buddy's like, yeah, so either they were grossly incompetent and they absolutely caused this issue, or they have deliberately tampered with this, knowing that you'll need to bring this car back. Now, sure, is there, and this is the other thing that makes it, is there a non-zero chance that this all was a coincidence? Sure, I guess. Maybe. Or that the dying of the battery triggered, her to, you know, like, I don't even know, but is there possibly a confluence of events that did cause this issue that's not related to those things? Sure, and that's the plausible deniability that the mechanic shop would have. But the most likely thing, it's like Occam's razor or whatever, when, whatever it's called, the most likely explanation is when all else, when nothing else makes sense, the most likely explanation is probably the answer. Really cutting close with this. So finally, so he doesn't really charge or anything. He charged like $100 for coming and looking at it for a few different times. He rehooked it up. The car seemed to be working fine until the next day when it was doing the same problem. So it's obviously leaking coolant or oil somewhere. It's pooling. I suspect oil. Something is causing this oil to pool to where it doesn't initially drive bad, but then once it sits overnight, there's a slow leak somewhere. People they've tested the head. So anyway, she's in the middle of dealing with that. And that is Car Talk. Thanks for tuning in. But the point of that is that I'm on taxi duty now, getting her from work. My wife took her too, because it coincided with my wife coming home from work, and I'll be picking her up. But she works like 45 minutes away, so it's not a pleasurable experience. It is like a 2-hour, and my daughter is completely irresponsible and untimely. She always has been. It's actually the rift, why she moved out of the house when she was 19, when she originally moved out. Now she's realized it's worth biting the bullet, and she gets away with a little bit more, but when she was 19, basically, she did not, first of all, she couldn't even pass her driver's exam until she was 19. And not right away. So at 19 years old, she still had no driver's license. She had a car waiting for her, like somebody, I can't remember, uncle, grandma, grandpa, somebody was going to give her a car, but she needed a license, and she could not pass that test. She took, I don't know, 5 times or something like that before she finally passed it. And that's just my daughter in a nutshell. And she, at this point in time, we were all just driving her to work constantly. So we were driving her and picking her up. And she had this really, really bad habit of she would be going to get out of work late, like really late, like an hour late, and know that going into it and not tell you. So she would not communicate, and then you're going to go pick her up. And she, believe me, and she did not have some, that guy must be glitched. Did not have some, like, so stressful job. Oh, yeah. Totally evaded. Like, she worked at the movie theaters. So she's not, like, the worst case you might have is, like, the rush on a Friday night or whatever. But anyway, many would be the time where I'd go to pick her up and I'd be sitting 30, 45 minutes, an hour in the parking lot of the movie theater waiting for her to get off, you know, after working all day myself or whatever, because she simply couldn't text me and say, hey, I'm running late. And we did not live far from the movie theater. We lived like 10 minutes away. So, or even if I knew I'm going to be another hour, well, it sucks, but at least I could drive home for half an hour. But she wouldn't do it, and then she wouldn't answer her phone. And we had multiple conversations about it. And it actually eventually led to her getting moving out, because I basically told her that I warned her over and over again that it was not okay. I explained to her the expectation was that she communicate. I didn't want to sit there for an hour in the parking lot. Even if I was on the way, she could just send me a text and I could turn around or whatever. I didn't want to, dang it. Another one of these evaded, bugged out ones. So I felt it was a reasonable expectation. So finally she pulled it, whatever, 100th time. And I got so mad and I just said, look, if you do this to me again without communicating with me, I'm going to just turn around and leave. I'm not going to wait. And you're going to have to find your own ride home from your job that's 10 minutes away. You're going to have to ask one of your coworkers or take a Uber or whatever. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. So, sure enough, like the next week comes, the same thing happens. I go, I wait for half an hour, or whatever, maybe 20 minutes, I don't know how long it was. And I followed through. I did what I said I was going to do. I turned around and left. So she got out of work. I wasn't there. She texted me then, where are you? I explained to her, you're on your own. I told you what the expectation was. You chose not to do it. Find your own ride home today. And she was so mad at me. She was livid. And she basically acted like I performed some sort of abuse on her, that I was the most horrible person. And it was like 2 days later, she moved out. So she went, and by moved out, like she went to go live with her grandma. And she got her license. So grandma shuttled her, but then she conveniently then passed her driver's test right after that. So that was an inspiration for her too. So in the long run, I mean, it was probably good for her. It gave her some motivation, but I was villainized so much for it. And I still, to this day, like that one is, there's just sometimes the way that her brain, my daughter's brain works. When she was, it's crazy the way that life ebbs and flows with your kids. This is an example of an episode why people probably hate this show, where I spend no time talking about the game. But it's because we're doing something like super competitive. I think I probably did this the last time we did this quest too. where we basically spend the entire hour and a half doing these 2 quests. But you know, when your kids just go through so many ebbs and flows, your relationships with them, you know, people like say, oh, I have a favorite kid, or you don't have a favorite kid, or you know, I can never have a favorite kid. I think that's probably not true. Like, you love your kids all, and you would die for all of them. But you absolutely, depending on the time of life, get along more with your different kids in one way, shape, or form. Absolutely. Some kids are going to be more like you. Some kids are going to give you less of a problem. Some kids are going to make you laugh more. Some kids are going to give you more pride because they're more successful. It just is what it is, and that doesn't mean you necessarily love one kid more. But you definitely like some of your kids more, depending on it. But that's also fluid, and that changes on your life. Like when this daughter I'm talking about was growing up, we were thick as thieves. We were the closest. Like, she was probably the kid I was closest to out of all my other kids. We had a similar sense of humor. We just got along really well. But then as she got older, she has this irrationality and irresponsibility that when you're really little, you can wipe it away and it can be cute, but as you become adult and it starts impacting your life in other ways. My number one story with her, which is, it just totally codifies it. It's the perfect example of how this girl shattered my brain. Was when she was in middle school, and then this continued on into high school. There is something that, to this day, it's like a big family secret fiasco, and the true light of day has never come. But basically, when she was in middle school, you know, we used to pack her lunch for her every day. That's one thing my wife and I have always done up until my kids were like seniors in high school. We packed their lunch for them every day. It's just, we're a lunch packing family. It's what we do. You know, even though they're old enough to do it themselves, it's one of the ways that we baby our kids. We've always packed their lunches. So this daughter does not like change, and she likes to have everything the same. She could do the same thing. She eats the same snacks. She eats the same foods. She doesn't like new foods. You know, I don't know why, but I'm burning through my mana at a much greater rate this time. So she's the kind of person that will get on a kick and then eat the same thing for lunch in her lunchbox every day for a year by choice. So she was on a kick where ham sandwich, it was a ham sandwich. She wanted a ham sandwich every single day. Ham and cheese sandwich every day. Well, I want to say this is 8th grade. Maybe it's 9th. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade. So, she's also irresponsible, lazy, and slovenly. And so, I would say not irresponsible as much as she's lazy. She's my laziest and most slovenliest of children, for sure. She will allow herself to live in a level of filth that I cannot fathom. So every now and then, you know, the kids, when I'm going to pack the lunches, the kids may not have taken their lunch box out of their backpack, and I have to go get it. That's normal. That's par for the course. She usually did. My current son usually does not. My youngest, the only lunch I'm currently packing, his is very frequent. So I hope you're not hiding something bad in your backpack, because there's a chance I'm gonna see it. So my daughter, when I go to get the lunch, this was rare for her. She usually was pretty good about it. I go to get her lunchbox because it's time to pack lunch, and she had forgotten it. It was still in the lunchbox, so I go to her backpack to get it out. When I go to get the lunchbox out of the backpack, inside the bottom of the backpack are the past 3 months minimum ham sandwiches. sitting in the bag. I'm talking over 50 ham sandwiches. Over 50 in this bag. And the oldest ones at the bottom were so old, they were green and smelled like death. And I lost my mind. I was like, what on earth? And this story gets better. So I lost my complete mind. I went absolutely bonkers. I went through all the stages of grief. I went through rage, confusion, disbelief, doubt, shock. And my daughter has a particularly bad habit of when she's faced with conflict, her go-to response is to just clam up and say nothing. So it's extraordinarily frustrating. You can ask direct questions. You can need answers to something. Her response will be to go to complete just wide open doe-eyed mode, and just if she just stares at you and says nothing, eventually this problem will pass by. So at no point in time did she ever give me a valid reason why these ham sandwiches were there. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, why? Like, even if you're not eating them, even like, take everything else aside, and for whatever reason why you're not eating the ham sandwiches. And I understand, like, child wastefulness of food, especially at middle school, is extraordinarily common. Kids will take one bite off their sandwich, throw it away, blah, blah, blah. That part I get, or you don't like ham, whatever. First of all, if you don't like the ham sandwiches, there was the financial element where I'm like, just stop, just don't have me pack them. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you say, I'm not that hungry at school, I'd rather snack when I get home or whatever, or I don't like ham sandwiches more, I don't want as much food, I don't want a ham sandwich. Yeah, like, I just felt like there were other ways that this could have gone down. Just ask for something else. Ask to not have the pack, but she kept insisting, no, I still want the lunch to be packed. I still want the ham sandwiches packed in the lunch. And I'm like, but clearly you don't. So it came down, and she could just give me no reason. And I'm like, even if that's all that aside, why not? Why are you not throwing them away? Like, why at no point, even if you're not remembering, like, why not, if it's a secret thing and you don't want to throw them away in front of other people at school or whatever, like, I don't even know, like, she rode the bus to school, like, why not chuck them out at the bus stop? Like, okay, we have all the giants killed. It literally broke my brain, and I was just, by the end of it, I had went through the full process, and I was like, okay, but she assured me, no, I'm gonna stop this habit. I really want you to keep making the lunch. I really still want the ham sandwiches. I'm gonna stop it. And I'm sorry, and no explanation was ever given, though. None. She gave me no, to this day, a decade later, I still have no freaking clue why this was happening. But here's the kicker to the story. So then I was paranoid, and I keep checking the lunch boxes. And so for the next few months, I'm checking, okay, she's not doing this habit. Flash forward to the next year. Now she's on in high school, and we're about a year later. I've basically wiped the event from my mind. The same exact thing happens. I go to pack the lunch. She forgot that day. I go into the backpack, and I find another 3-month plus collection. Maybe more than the last time. 50, 60 rotten, green, festering ham sandwiches. And I cannot explain to you, to this day, it's such an unfathomable behavior to me. Still to this day, no one in the family knows why. Let's turn these questions.
Yo. Hurry back.
The fruits of research and utilization in the form of sweet residue. Well, that is to say, I don't taste it or anything when I study it much.
Inconceivably fantastical, adventurer. You've come through for me again, and for that I thank you. Thank you. While you may find this coin to be a little less than you're accustomed to, rest assured your great deeds on the field of goblindom are echoing through the halls of power in the Steamweedle cartel. Should you need something else to do, then by all means talk to me.
Keep it real.
Okay, so that was, again, with the Zapped Giants. Yeah, we're kind of screwed on this, man. It's really a bummer. And then refuel for the Zapping.
Be good.
Have you managed to find the elemental cores I need?
Top-notch, adventurer, top-notch. While the coin I give you might not be the most you'll ever receive for such work, rest assured my comrades in the Steamweedle cartel will hear about your efforts. If you're looking for anything else to do, then let me know. I can always use more elemental cores and such.
Alright, so that was so freaking grindy that basically took our whole episode, and I apologize, you guys, because of that. That one was such an autopilot. Like you can destroy this ultra shrinker. It has a 2-hour cooldown. And it'll get you whatever you need. Alright, so there's very little. We're gonna turn in the Horde quest, that's all we really have time for. We're gonna go about our business here in Orgrimmar, and then we'll set up Felwood next time, and my hope is on the next episode tomorrow we can kill these Felwood things, fly back here, head out to the Yetis, do this as one loop, basically. Yetis kill top, get the Mwisek, and then do the Harpies, and then come all back. I think we can get that in one loop, even with Felwood and the flyback. And then in a perfect world, we'll have enough time at the end to then fly over to Booty Bay, or I mean fly to Ratchet, then go to Booty Bay, and then even finale, fly up to the Badlands. That's the goal before we get ready to do Maraudon again. So we will see. I really think
something special?
we maybe probably could. We have, look at all these enchanted waters we get to 1334. It's not, I'm gonna sell them because they're not as good as the Moonberry juice. You know, it's good to have water on this character. I don't really want that subpar water. We can also work on improving our Mage Weave. I don't remember where we get that last tier. I think it's in Arathi. This is where we, in Hammerfall, I believe, is where we get the last tier of heavy rune cloth. Bandage learning. So we'll have to go there too. But I'm not as worried about it until I get to 300 because I only want to visit it one more time. So we got a few. We're gonna go, I will add this cooked summer bass. We'll do that as we run around too. Where do we have to go here? We do have to go over to that guy. Over here. Over here. We also have to train. So we have a few things to do. Let's go to the bank. A couple things in there.
Would you rather trust your goods with a goblin?
Yeah. Yes. Alright, so we're gonna cook these two guys here.
Gobble.
Yeah, I guess I have to look at some of these Shadow Bolt. Alright, let's do the loop around. I want to stop at the cooking thing. Yeah, we're saving up our rune cloth. We will really start raking in the rune cloth once we get to Felwood and beyond. We'll get a ton from the Timber Maw, so that's great. That rep grind is going to give us a good. That'll probably give us half of our donation of rune cloth.
What are you looking for?
We need to cook these two types of fish, so I'm looking for two hot spice and 3 soothing spice. That's what I need.
For the Horde.
Okay, we're just gonna cook those bad boys up to add them to our stacks that we already have, even though they're just good buffs. Nothing big about that.
Stay away from the voodoo.
So the point of my whole story here is that that's the perfect example of my daughter, who her actions just consistently break my GD brain. Just don't understand. I just can't. As a logical person, I can't make it work.
Hello.
These are dangerous times, person. An ancient evil is rising, and it cares not if you're Horde or Alliance.
This is a guy we keep bringing these reports to, so
See ya later.
I hope it comes to something. Greetings, friend. You look as though you're on an urgent business. Is there something I can help you with?
I've been expecting this. These creatures you faced, they are an ancient threat that the Horde continues to choose to ignore. Hadoken was wise to bring this, and you, to me. The Zukk'ash are nothing more than creatures called the Silithid. Some would think that they are a mindless nuisance. But let me assure you, they are a far, far worse threat than anything the Alliance could muster. If you're willing and strong enough, I could use your aid in bringing this threat to light.
The only reason I can think of wanting to keep that
These are dangerous times,
that
person.
subtlety
An
ring
ancient...
is that maybe what's the Zukk'ash Report? Maybe like if I wanted to equip it outside of combat, because it's just not as good as some of the other rings I have. I don't know. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. These honestly, the other ones are nowhere near as grindy as this, so I do think there's a pretty. I mean, there's a pretty dang solid chance, if not like 100% chance, that we are going to pull this off. It's really the travel that worries me some, because we are going to have to ultimately get from Felwood back to Feralas, and we're going to have to travel over to Booty Bay, Badlands, that whole area. Alright, we have a grim discovery.
Strength and honor.
Be quick, Shaman. I have much to complete today.
The Grim Totem. This is interesting. You say you came across them while hunting in Feralas. Truly? My peers will want to hear your news, adventurer. Tell me more, and I'll count out your coin while you do so. And before you go, know that I give you thanks for the information you've passed on to me this day.
Yeah, neither of those are very good either.
Betraying,
So
thieving woman.
nothing else comes out of that too. It's just we are providing information that the whatchamacallit, that the Grim Totem are being turds. So more information about that. So I don't know why these, other than the fact that, yeah, I don't know why they keep wanting to send you back to Orgrimmar. I guess maybe they felt like you're getting far away. Now, the Betrayed quest there does lead you to Ajara, which is also right about where, so that would bring you to him, which would give you, if you weren't aware he had a quest, that would maybe set you up to help you with that, to give you one of the only breadcrumbs and one of the only reasons to go to Ajara. Alright, we're going to go now train before we go turn in the Gordunni Orb. That'll help us as well. And then we'll get on that flight path to end the episode. Here again, we're not doing Elemental Mastery.
Blood and thunder.
Oh, he doesn't even have anything for sale. But I think we're good on Onks right now. That is a Shaman trainer. Let's train with her.
Who you be?
Alright, so we got a lot of moves. So we can upgrade our Chain Lightning to do 551 damage. I very rarely use that move. It's a nice AoE ranged move, though. 30%. Okay, so... And the mana goes up to 600 mana.
Spirits be with your mind.
Guessing it's pretty good if you wanted to be blasting AoE.
Hey there.
Okay, we get another Standard Lightning Bolt. Again, I never use that. Not a huge increase. From 400 to 467. That is a rank 10 Lightning Bolt.
Hello, ma.
Cool. And then a new Magma Totem. That is the pulsing one. I do like that, but it's more about the threat. So 54 Damage goes up to 75, so that's better. That is a nice totem, but I only use it in like escort quests. Okay, the Flame Tongue weapon is okay. I use it from time to time if I'm going to be, for whatever reason, not needing Wind Fury. You could use this. It does now basically 100 extra, up to 100 extra fire damage, so not a ton more. Extra 5 damage per swing, so it's not really the best. Honestly, kind of a waste of gold there, but it's fine. And then an upgrade. Grace of Air is a great one. This is one of my main ones. So, agility by 77, up from 49. That is a big boost. But that is a great one. That's the first upgrade to Grace of Air.
Don't be shy.
My Lightning Shield is another one of my main ones. Now it hits for 198, so an extra 40 damage on hit for each burst from the Lightning Shield. That's worth it for sure. That's like my main thing. The Wind Wall Totem now protects, reducing range damage by 64. I very rarely use that, but I could maybe see using it in a raid or something like that. So a more effective version of that, sure. And Restoration now, my Healing Wave, which this is my main spell, now can heal 1500, which is good because it was actually starting to feel a little underpowered. So I actually do appreciate getting level 9 of that. So 1500. And my Mana Spring Totem, love that one too. 10 mana every 2 seconds, up from 8. So more effective. Now it originally costs me 60. Now it costs 75, so it costs 15 more mana, but over its lifetime, it's going to give you 120 more mana. So overall, 105 more. Alright, cool. So, oh, that Hot Smoked Bass is different. It's actually Spirit. I like that. Okay. And we still have to turn in the Gordunni Orb. Oh, do I have that extra Sprite Wing? Is that just an extra one? Yeah, I think that was an extra wing we got. We must have got 2 from our final one. Cool. So that's just a free inventory slot. We need that Gordunni Orb. That's real. That one we really need to take out. Alright, so that was a pretty good level up. We only have 2 more to go. Somebody asked, how are the vibes on the server? And I said, chill, mon. Alright, so we're going to just turn in Gordunni Orb, and then we're going to go back to this flight path in order to get us going as close as we can get to Fellwood. So we can bust that out, because I would love to, and I really think we can unless we hit a huge snafu. I think we can finish this in one more.
Greetings, adventurer. I pity your kind.
And this would have given me the Maraudon quest too, coming this way, so that's cool. What have you brought me, Torin?
Fascinating adventure.
This orb is very powerful, but also very dangerous.
Alright, so I guess I don't really know where we're going with that. Where is the Gordunni Orb? I feel like I've been sitting on that for a little while. There it is. Okay.
BC.
That's it. I guess the only purpose of that is that it opened up Shadow Shard fragments. So these are all just breadcrumbs. So what are we missing now? Now let me check that one off. We have the chicken to just turn in. We have To the Top that we'll run and do while we're there. We have to do the 2 Yeti quests. The Muisek that comes with the weapons after it. The Vengeance of the North Spring and the Dark Heart. I don't know what the Strength of Corruption quest is going to actually task us with doing. I truly don't know. So that last one is a wild card because I don't remember what it's about. Alright, so we will hopefully be able to wedge all of these together. If the one thing that could possibly get cut, if we're really crunched on time, is I could cut the journey to do our leather working, and we'll just start. Oh, we have to do Maraudon prep as well. I really wanted to do that. Yeah, we're gonna have to really get better luck on
You
time.
haven't lived until you've looked down on the world from the back of a
Alright, so this is where we're going to leave off because I'm going to get on the flight path to Felwood. So we'll cut a little bit of time by saving... Actually, we're only flying over to Splinter Tree Post. It's saving like no time at all. Unless I have a path to Moonglade, it might be better to run down there and get that and then run down to this flight path. Or maybe not even do that. Maybe not even get the flight path. But the problem is we'll have to run through Timbermaw Hold, and that's a death sentence. Alrighty. We did accomplish a lot today. We're pretty close. We're very, I'd say, 75%, maybe 80, if we're lucky, percent of the way. We probably just didn't get that much done because it was just so much time. You guys got one of the episodes that I slot in there where it's just all about me, and not about the game, and just mute me. Or skip this one, or don't. Like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, and join me on the journey through my life as we journey through World of Warcraft, or whatever you decide to do. I appreciate you so much for watching and listening and tuning in. You are awesome, and I'll check you out on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft, because this episode is in the pipe 5x5.